Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. Beautiful day outside. It's been a while since I did a Facebook Live, been a couple of weeks or so. So thanks for joining me today. And what we're gonna talk about today is buying an as-is property. So you might see a property advertised that says it's an as-is property. What does that really mean? Most people worry, is that going to be a money pit if I buy it? And there's a lot of things wrong with it. You do have some protections, so we're going to cover that and how to use those. So very good stuff. All right, but before we get started, I do want to mention, if you're serious about buying or selling a home, give us a call. You can just go to showcasecall.com and schedule a time for us to talk. On that call, we'll be able to find out more about what you're interested in, give you some advice, point you in the right direction. And now, let's get started. Let's see, we're talking about buying an as-is home. You might see a house that has been advertised as being an as-is property. They're going to sell it as is. The seller usually will say, you know, I'm not making any repairs to this property. It's being sold as is. What you see is what you get. And so buyers sometimes want to buy the property, but they're afraid of it. And that's natural, because it could be, you know, why is that person even selling as is? Might be another question that pops into the buyer's minds. So we're going to cover all of that. We're going to talk very briefly about the real estate purchase agreement, the RPA. That's what the realtors use. That's what we use to write up your agreement. And there's some important stuff in there like contingencies and such. So we're going to cover that and take just a few minutes, and it'll give you some really good help if you're looking at as-is properties. So, and if you are just joining us and you're serious about buying or selling a home, give us a call. You might want us to help you to buy or sell. You may not. And either way, we're happy to give you some advice and point you in the right direction. You can go to showcasecall.com and schedule a time for us to talk. All right, so let's get into it. We're talking about buying an as-is home. It's advertised as is. The seller says, I'm not going to put do any repairs or anything like that. What you see is what you get. That's how the seller advertises it, or the listing agent might advertise it on behalf of the seller. So you're a buyer, you want to buy this property, but you might be afraid that it's going to turn into a money pit. What if this thing is a lemon? What if there's all kinds of expensive repairs that have to be done, not even, you know, questionable, like a foundation issue or maybe a roof issue or things like that? Well, the thing is even if it's advertised as a as-is property, you still, as the buyer, have the right to get your own home inspection. We'll talk about that in just a second. You have the right to get a home inspection, okay? Now, that home inspection might turn up some things that you weren't aware of. Could turn up foundation issues. Could turn up some major issues with the plumbing or the electrical system. Let's say that there's all kinds of stuff that has to happen for this house to be safe and for this house to last a long time. And if you uncover those kind of things in the inspection, then you still have the ability to back out of this deal and get your earnest money deposit back, as long as your contingencies are still in place and there wasn't anything special written into the contract that says, you know, they're going to keep your deposit. That's kind of unusual that would happen, but I have to throw that in because something special can always be written into the contract. There's a place for that, a blank area. But if you don't have anything like that, then as long as your contingency is still in place, contingency just meaning you still have time to get different things done, home inspection, appraisal, your loan. Those are three separate contingencies. If you still had your contingencies in place, you can cancel, you get a refund. You don't have to worry about this thing being a money pit. You don't have to worry about this thing being a lemon. You don't have to worry about any of that. You cancel, you get your money back. If your contingencies are still in place. So keep that in mind. Let's say that you're in escrow on an as-is property, you get your home inspection completed. And by the way, we always recommend you get a home inspection And let's say the seller has a home inspection already and they give it to you and they say, hey, this was just completed. Here's the inspection. This can save you, $300, $400. You don't have to do your own inspection. Our advice is to always get your own inspection. You don't know what kind of circumstances cause that seller to bring in that appraiser, that inspector. Does that seller know the inspector? Are they old high school buddies? Are they drinking buddies? Do they go to church together? Are they golfing buddies? Is he doing a favor? You don't want things like that. You want a very transparent appraisal. Inspection. You want somebody that's going to do a great job and not be biased towards the seller. Okay, so you get your inspection done on this as-is property. It comes back, and there's things that you don't like about it. There's more to it than either you're willing to take on and complete, or maybe just more than you're willing to pay for. So you can go back to the seller, even though the seller is saying, hey, I'm going to sell this as is. You can go back to the seller and request either for a credit, so you want some money at closing that gets applied to the transaction, or you can ask for these items to be, some of these items or all of these items to be repaired, or you can ask for a price reduction. And who knows? Sometimes the seller will go for it. They're usually not happy about it. They usually say, well, I said that this is going to be as is. I can't believe you're asking for these items to be repaired, or you're asking for a price break. That happens. It doesn't matter. That's the seller. You're the buyer, and you want to take care of yourself and your family. If you went into this as-is purchase in good faith, you saw what you were getting and you're good with it. But if the inspection uncovered some deeper things, more expensive things, more extensive things even, then you may not like this anymore. So it's definitely your right to back out if your contingencies are in place and get your earnest money. Or you can always back out, but you're just not going to get your earnest money if the contingencies are in place and the seller doesn't want to give it back. But if everything's in place, you can back out, you get your money back, your earnest money. Or you can ask for the seller to make some changes, to the price. Let's get the price lower to compensate for these things. Let's get a credit, or even if the seller is willing to get some of these things fixed. Again, just want to point out, you're not going into this as is purchase thinking, I'm going to go back to the seller and ask for money or a price reduction or repairs, because the seller is saying, hey, this is as is. But what we are saying is you go into escrow in good faith that the home is in a certain condition. And then if it turns out it's way below that condition, you got options. So don't freak out. Don't worry about making an offer on an as-is property. Don't worry about buying an as-is property. It's no problem. You just need to know the right way to go about it, okay? So, hey, and real quick before we wrap it up, one last thing, but before we do, I just want to say if you're serious about buying or selling a home, give us a call. You might want us to help you. You may not. Either way, we're happy to get on the phone. We find out what it is that you want to accomplish. We give you some suggestions, some pointers. It's a great way to get to know us. If you're going to hire a realtor, you don't want to just go with the first one you talk to on the phone, or you don't want to go with just like the first one that you meet. You want to have some kind of criteria that you're using to choose that realtor. And getting on the phone with us and talking is a good way for you to find out, do we know what we're doing? Are we friendly? All that kind of good stuff. And it's also very non-threatening, because we just do it on the phone. And then if you want to meet later on, we can do it. But if you don't want to meet, we never talk again, that's cool too. We're just happy to help you out, point you in the right direction. So if that sounds good to you, you can go to showcasecall.com, showcase, and then call, C-A-L-L. And go to showcasecall.com, click a few buttons and get scheduled with us. And you can just see what our availability is. There should be some times open for this weekend or this evening. Okay, so hey, once again, if you're buying an as-is home, the point to take home is don't be afraid. If you love this home and you want to buy it, go ahead and make an offer and do it with confidence, knowing that if you have your contingency in place and something turns up on the inspection that you don't like, you can back out and you get your money. If something turns up on the inspection you don't like and you want to continue in escrow and you want to actually close on the transaction, it's perfectly okay for your agent to reach out to the listing agent and ask the seller for some kind of concessions. Okay? All right, cool. Hey, have an awesome day. Thanks for joining me, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care.